Hello, sweet friend. My name is Micah, and in this video, I want to share with you how I use a magazine to find journal prompts for myself or ideas for spreads because, sometimes we have these days where we want to journal, but we don't quite know what to journal about, or maybe you have a data journal and that day nothing in particular happened, but you want to fill it with something meaningful. These journal prompts are great for those kinds of days. And also, it's great to get some really good use out of these sometimes expensive magazines. I know a lot of people love cutting out illustrations and other images and ephemera from magazines, and that's also fantastic. Flow magazine that I have here is also great for that. I think the illustrations that they pick are always very, very charming, and they often also have some great lettering in there, so that's all great. But yeah, today I want to talk about how I sort of get journal prompts out of the articles or the content of the magazine. And so I have bookmarked a couple of the articles that I found particularly inspiring. And then I'm going to share a quick synopsis of the article and share with you what journal prompt I came up with based on that article. And then at the end, I'm also going to share one example spread that I did in my journal based on one of the prompts. And feel free to pick out your own magazines and go through them and do a similar process, or also just work off of the prompts that I'm going to share with you today. I know the lighting isn't quite ideal, but it's gloomy here in Germany, and so we gotta work with what we've got. Okay, so this first article here talks about how we still want tactile experiences. Of course, with the rise of technology, the rise in screen time, the rise of AI, things have gotten very, very digital. But this article emphasizes how humans are social animals. We love tactile experiences, and how these kinds of things are going to become more and more precious and valuable, and sort of also encourages to come up with handmade gifts or just tactile gifts, or coming together to share in creative hobbies. I love this illustration. This is also a really fun color palette, I think. So what I thought would be great is to make a journal spread about analog life, your analog things that you enjoy, the textile experiences you enjoy, or things that you enjoy that don't involve a screen or technology. Just a fun way to appreciate all the fun and textile things. Tactile. I mean, there might be textiles too, but tactile experiences that are in your life. Next up is an article that talks about slow dating. Now, I am happily married, so I'm not looking for advice on dating, but what stood out to me was how this article talks about how we can be so nervous and so anxious on the first date, or even the second or third date, that a lot of people may not pursue a relationship with their date because they don't immediately feel the spark, or immediately feel that they're gonna fall in love with this person. And I think this article is sort of an encouragement to take more time so that you can get past the nervousness and past all these other emotions that may cloud your judgment on whether or not this is a relationship that is worth pursuing. And I think this is a great advice, not just for dating, but for other experiences as well. And so I thought, as a journal prompt, to reflect on, are there things, hobbies, new experiences, food, habits that you have started and maybe have ended too soon? Can you honestly say that you have given it a good shot? And would you maybe be proud of yourself if you take more time to keep on trying, basically? I hope this makes sense, but yeah, also very pretty illustration. I think this article was one of my favorites in this particular issue of the Flow magazine. It talks about happiness and how happiness can be brought into your life through small rituals. This is a conversation with the author Tal Ben-Shahar, who I had actually never heard about before, and so that's also a great thing that I've gotten out of this magazine. I'm actually now reading his book called Happier, and man oh man, there's so much journaling inspiration in that book, and a lot of prompts and things to reflect on, but that's a whole other video if you would like. But so there's actually at least two things I want to point out here that could turn into some very meaningful journal prompts. So for one, Tal Ben-Shahar brings up the author Helen Keller. Helen Keller became deaf and blind at a very young age, but she was still determined to lead a happy and fulfilling and meaningful life. And Helen Keller, apparently, according to Tal Ben-Shahar, has defined happiness as wholeness. And that's just a one sentence here in this article, but I thought, wow, this could make a great journal spread about, do you agree that happiness can be defined as wholeness, right? Or how would you define happiness? That would be a great journal prompt. And then something that they also bring up are these 5 areas in life that Tal Ben-Shahar thinks where we can seek out well-being and wholeness, and all these 5 areas coming together means that we can have a happier life. And so these 5 areas include spiritual well-being, bodily well-being, relationships, intellectual well-being, and emotional well-being. And so I thought it would be great to have a journal spread where you draw out these 5 areas. Maybe you do like areas of watercolor, or you draw them out with crayons, and then you title them with these 5 areas, and reflect, 1, on how do you think you're doing in this particular area, and then 2, if you feel like there's something missing in that area, can you come up with things to do to help you in that area? And I hope I've translated that somewhat similar to how Tal Ben-Shahar would talk about these 5 areas. But yeah, lots of really meaningful things here about happiness and happiness rituals. Oh, that would be another one. Write out the rituals that you think are contributing to your happiness, or come up with ideas for rituals that would contribute to your happiness. Next up is this article by the journalist Elizabeth Heikoop. I'm not sure, that seems like a Dutch name. But she had, as a child, she had the dream of learning to play the trumpet. And now as an adult, her kids actually gifted her a lesson. And so she started learning the trumpet, fulfilling a childhood dream, but also investing in learning something new as an adult. And so I thought, wow, that's fantastic. How about journaling about dreams or things you wished for as a child, and that you as an adult now can make happen and fulfill for yourself. And that doesn't necessarily have to be an instrument, though I think that is great, especially if it inspires you to learn something new. But so, for example, for me, something that I've always dreamed of as a child was to have a dollhouse. And I'm adult now. I can just get myself a dollhouse. And maybe a dollhouse is a little too big. I don't want to commit to the space. But I could start making dioramas for myself. And so I can journal about that and how I want to go about actually putting that in action and make that happen for myself. So I thought, yeah, this article is a great inspiration to journal about childhood dreams or things you've wished for as a child that maybe now as an adult you can fulfill for yourself. Now, this is maybe not as deep, but the idea is that they always have these spreads where they obviously show off some products you can buy. I'm sorry, this is like very glossy paper. But yeah, they just have a little bit of a theme towards these, but it's basically just ads for little things. But they've titled it Things That We Love. And so that's a fun little spread idea where you can just take photos or doodle out just things, random things that you're loving. I mean, you could come up with different themes, care products that you're loving right now, and do like your facial creams and your body wash or something like that, and draw them out all on one page. Or just things from your kitchen, food that you're enjoying right now, or seasonings that you're enjoying right now. Just a little themed collection of things that may or may not slip under the radar otherwise, but you can capture this way. I think that would be really, really, really fun. And then here we have an article that, I found really inspiring. So the title is I Miss You, and the author is talking about himself or parts of himself. He has a chance encounter with an old classmate in public transport, and through this encounter, he realizes that some people back from school don't recognize him now in his sort of professional get-up. And so that leads him to reflect on parts of himself that he's missing. And I thought this would be a great journal spread where you list out things that you miss about yourself. And this has been my prompt that I've already put into action that I want to share with you. Let me zoom you in. So I decided to make that a double page spread. On this side, we have past me, or things I miss about myself. And so then I just thought about things that I used to do or used to feel that I miss about myself. And because I didn't want this to turn into just a negative experience of just like, oh, things were better back then, or I liked myself better back then, I also then made on the opposite side, on the opposite spread, I made the page about present me, the things I am proud of. So if past you could meet the you of today, what would they be proud of? Or kind of like, oh wow, really, you managed to do that? Those kinds of things to sort of balance it out and just make it a reflection on things you might want to bring back into your life, but also then cherishing the things you have accomplished since then. And yeah, I just think that's a really meaningful spread to do. And there's lots of different ways you could approach that. I decided to doodle the different aspects, like I feel like I used to be more social. I used to be more active and sportsy, things like that. But then I'm also really proud of, for example, having started my YouTube channel, because that took a lot of guts, I feel like, but I'm so glad I did it, and I keep doing it because I love connecting with you all and having this community of other people who enjoy journaling. And so yeah, I'm really, really proud of myself for actually doing this and making this happen. Yeah, so I doodled these out with little symbols and then wrote underneath what they meant. If you don't feel comfortable with doodling, you could of course do this with stickers. You could use cut up magazine images or other imagery that you find, collage bits and pieces. But if you want to maybe be more free-flowing, stream of consciousness, you could pick out 2 photos of yourself, one of the past you that you want to remember, and then a picture of present you, and then just have those as tip-ins, and then just long-form stream of consciousness journal about what things you miss about yourself, but also about the things that you're proud of. And if you want to maybe keep it more abstract, you could also just reflect on what it felt like to be you back then and what it feels like to be you now as a contrast, and then go from there and see if something more concrete comes up in that exploration. But yeah, I hope that this was inspiring to you, that maybe gave you some ideas on either just for journal prompts that I came up with that you want to just use for your journaling, or just in general on how to use magazine for journaling prompts. But yeah, let me know. What do you think? Are you going to go through and flip through old magazines to find some journaling prompts? I would love to know. And if you come up with anything that you feel comfortable sharing, let's collect some journaling prompts in the comments. I would love to hear what you've come up with. But yeah, thanks so much for sharing this time with me. Until next time, happy journaling!